listening to We Watch Movies.
I'm Ava.
And I'm Jenna.
And we watch movies. So this week we watched Malcolm and Marie, which stars just Zendaya and John David Washington. So it's only a cast of 2. And it came out on Netflix just recently. And it really wants to be different. And that's my first impression, because they started with credits. Okay, Jenna, what were your initial thoughts?
It was quite the hour and 40 minutes or however long this movie was, Ava. Quite the time.
Yeah, it's too much. It would have been a good 20-minute short film or something, But I mean, the concept was good, and the writing was good, except for the fact that they just dragged it on so much. The acting was really good. The cinematography was beautiful. It's just that it went on for too long. That's just my main gripe with it. Because, so if you haven't watched the movie, and you don't feel the desperate urge to watch the movie, it's basically just about this couple. One is a filmmaker after his first big movie just dropped in the universe, and the other one is his girlfriend, who the movie is kind of based on. And they have a lot of conversations, and then they fight, and then they make up and kind of have sex. But not completely, but they almost do. And then they fight again, and then they start almost having sex again, and then they fight again, and then basically it's just that loop over and over again for almost 2 hours.
Yeah. I watched this movie in multiple sittings just because I always watched it at odd times, and I was like, oh wait, now I have to go do something else. And every time I came back to it, I was like, what changed? Nothing. We're doing the same thing again, folks. So, honestly, what you said, this movie could have been 20 minutes and more impactful, because I wouldn't have been bored. We kind of just went in circles with everything, and there were probably much more efficient ways to tell the story than rinse, repeat, fight.
Literally.
Why didn't they just go to bed? Why did it take them hours to go to bed? I'm sorry. Unforgivable.
You know what my favorite scene in this movie was? The pure masterwork, if you will. That one scene where Malcolm is a little peeved, okay? And he leaves the house and just spazzes in the backyard for 2 minutes. It kind of reminded me of, do you know in what is it, High School Musical 2, when Troy sings Bet on It?
No, I don't.
Okay, Jenna, have you seen High School Musical 2?
No.
Jenna!
I've been working on it. It's on my list.
How freaking long is your list, Jenna?
It only gets longer every time we record this podcast.
Well, anyways, for those of you who are listening who are actually cultured, in High School Musical 2, when Troy goes out and sings Bet on It, and he's just in a golf course, and he's just running around just dancing and stuff, picture that except more spastic at night in less of a, it's not a green, it's more of a shrubby field. Oh, and then he comes and bothers his girlfriend who is taking a bath.
Yeah, I hadn't realized that Netflix was on 1.25 speed for me until I saw that scene, and I was like, okay, something is not right here.
I think I might need to go back and watch it on
Yeah, I'll have to go back and play it faster. And the music too was not regular for a scene like that. It almost sounded goofy. It didn't help.
I watched this with my sister, and she was very excited about it because she praises Zendaya and everything that she does. And so as the movie started, she was like, "Oh my god, it's so beautiful! Everything is so amazing and cinematic. Oh, this soundtrack is genius! Ava, are you hearing this? This soundtrack is literal genius!" Yeah, so that's my Emmy impression. Anyways, that was about her reaction to the soundtrack, and I figured I would bring that point up to you because you're the nerd here. So, what did you think of the rest of the soundtrack?
Okay, well, if we're gonna talk soundtrack, the original soundtrack was fine. Like, it wasn't that prevalent in the movie. But if we're talking just like soundtrack that they chose from like pre-existing songs, I thought it worked pretty well. And there was always like some song in the background constantly throughout this movie. And I think the ending song that like got swept into the credits as well worked really well for this movie. Maybe better than the movie actually worked for itself. But the soundtrack was good. I don't think Emmy is wrong with saying that they made some really good choices. Movie should have been more like the soundtrack. Make smart choices.
One thing that was weird about the music, and this wasn't even because of the music, this was because of the characters, but like Marie did this one thing where she went and sat with her boyfriend, Malcolm, at one point when she was like mad at him, and just started playing a song about oh, my boyfriend's trash, but I love him, and she just sat in silence. She took his cigarette away from him and started smoking it and playing this song. That was purposefully related to their issues, and I don't know why. I don't know what kind of communication that was, but like, yeah.
Should we get to the heart of the matter and talk about their relationship, because that's pretty much all this movie was.
I wish that she actually stabbed him.
You know,
I thought the movie was going somewhere, and then it didn't.
They were really pushing that idea, though. I didn't think they were gonna do it, but I kind of wanted them to do it.
You know, she busted out that knife, and I was so sure. I was like, oh my god, it's finally happening. Like, this is what the movie was building for. And it's just like, oh. See, I didn't realize that this movie was going to be this much of a headache. I believe I saw a headline call it until I actually started watching it, because before it came out, there were a lot of people predicting that this would be an Oscar type movie, like maybe a nomination here and there, especially in terms of like Best Actor and Best Actress. But like, then I saw that it was Rotten Tomatoes at like 58%, and I was like, whoa, okay, this is gonna suck. And then I watched it, and at first I was like, this is actually kind of good, and then it got really bad, and I was like, oh, that's where this comes from. That's why it sucks.
Like, honestly, if you can cut out a lot of the stuff in the middle, then tweak the conversations they have at the end, movie would be infinitely better.
See, the thing about how this movie was written is that if you took their fights, right, and you isolated them, you took like a couple of these scenes, you isolated them, those big, powerful fights, because they were written well. It was just repetitive. So if you took like one of those and you made a story that maybe had a couple other characters, because you can still be different and stand out and stuff. If you're black and white and everything, just add another character. That doesn't matter. Nobody cares if you have more than 2 characters. Anyways, you take one of those scenes and you put it into a movie, just one. It would have been very powerful. But everything got less powerful, and it just made you hate both of the characters and lose all sympathy for all of them, because it was just over and over again the same thing.
Yeah, like, this movie is definitely a test of endurance, and I was like, I didn't sign up to run a marathon here. I'm just trying to watch a movie. I didn't really get anything from it, because by the time it ended, I wasn't like mulling over the ideas and themes of the movie. I was just like panting and like exhausted, and I was like, oh, thank God it's over. I thought they were just gonna keep fighting for forever on screen.
Yeah, and just because of the way that it was so repetitive meant that there was no, like, satisfying ending, really. Because, you know, you didn't want them to stay together because you saw that they sucked, but you also didn't want them to, like, end badly, you know, because neither of those endings would have been satisfying. And so you're just sitting there, and then when it ends, you just kind of like, like, that was, And another thing about, like, how they wrote it, too, was they made a lot... Okay, I noticed that they were talking a lot about, how, oh, the movie doesn't have to be political, it doesn't have to be, like, about blah 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 and stuff, and then they were like, this movie was very clearly about a lot of those themes, but that the characters were, like, rejecting, which, like, I mean, maybe it was not intended to be that way, but it very much came across that way, and then it just made me feel weird about trying to think about, like, the overarching themes of this movie, because it felt like they were attacking the audience for thinking critically about the movie.
Yeah, like, just the more I tried to think about this movie, the more it actively pushed back against me. And I was like, you know what? You win, movie. If you don't want anyone to think about you or enjoy your presence, you can have that small little box on Netflix that everyone will ignore. I'm sorry. I am done with you.
Yeah, it made me feel bad because, like, oh, well, now I sound kind of whiny. It made me feel bad. But, like, because, you know, the two characters, they are, this black filmmaker, and was she a model, or was she just an actress down on her luck? Because he kept mentioning, oh, that comment about you being a model, but they didn't really explain that. So I don't really know what her job was technically supposed to be. But they kept bringing up, like, oh, this white girl versus, like, you know, and they were talking about, oh, the white girl from the LA Times, and how, oh, they always make this about race, and then, like, these themes and stuff, but then when you start thinking about it, you're like, oh, this is talking a lot about what it's like to be, oh, it's like, this is what it's like to be a black filmmaker. For them, they always talk about how it's political, blah, 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 and then it makes you feel bad for having those thoughts, because it's like, oh, now you're thinking that this movie is political, and, yeah, I feel like it was very aggressive towards its audience, and anybody who wanted to think critically about it, which I think can't help any sort of movie.
Yeah, and the sort of problem I have with it is, even if you, as, like, a creator of a movie, and you have some part in making a movie, even if you don't actively say, I'm going to make this movie political in any sort of way, anything you make really says something, especially because multiple people are putting their lives into making this product, and just any movie says something. Like, I can't really look at any movie and be like, oh, this is just a movie. It doesn't say anything. There are some movies that are a lot more shallow and don't say that much, but, like, they do something. Same with this movie. It's saying something, and in a sense it is political just by it existing. Just because you don't have the premeditated thought of, I am going to make this movie about this thing and it's going to be political, doesn't disqualify your movie from being political. So I feel like being so aggressive against people who are just trying to interpret how they feel about this movie and their thoughts and what it means to them, and then pushing back against that very natural process after you watch a movie, is just really stupid to me. I just find it kind of silly that this movie would say that it's not political, when in a sense, every movie is political in some way, because every movie and every piece of art actively says something. Even if it's a really shallow piece of media, it's still going to be saying something. And if you're attacking an audience that is just naturally figuring out and interpreting how they feel about a movie, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just how it is with with art in general. When you're making art, it's gonna end up a commentary on society and the world, because that's what brought about the art. And different pieces of art are gonna make different people feel different ways. And as long as you've achieved that they feel something, I feel like you're successful. And even if it's not what you intended, like, a different thing can strike a different chord in any person. That didn't make much sense because I don't know, I was using random words there. But, like, I don't know, if you walked into somebody's house, a picture frame on their wall means so much more to that person than it would to you. Like, you would look at the same picture and you could say, oh, that's a really pretty picture, but to them it's like a whole universe, right? And so when people are analyzing two different things, everything's going to mean different things to different people. And so when you make a movie, which was the example in this film, he made a movie about a black woman who was into drugs, I guess is addicted to drugs, sorry, and she was getting herself clean. And everybody was commenting on how it's commentary on how the mental health system is bad for black women. I don't remember what the words they used were. I can't speak English. But if you make a movie about what life is like for a black woman who has to deal with the mental health system, just in the state of our world, it's gonna end up, some people are gonna think, oh, that's pretty crazy, that's how these women are treated by our mental health care system. And then they're gonna think, oh, this is an injustice, and then it's gonna become political, you know?
Yeah, like, the movie, in the movie, I mean, did the movie in the movie have a title that I can call it by?
Imani, I think. It was just called Imani.
So, the fictional movie Imani, I think they said it was about, like, shame and guilt, and, like, it wasn't supposed to be about, like, the racial injustices of the mental health institution, but you can still use something in a movie, and while it might not be the big idea, you're still going to inherently be saying something because you're using it as a tool, and not every piece of a quote-unquote fictional story has to be fictional. And even if you're just using it to point out something in a character, you're still highlighting the fact that that thing, that flawed part of society, is influencing someone in a possibly negative way that isn't helping anyone, and therefore you're shedding light to an issue, which one could argue is a fairly political thing to do.
Like, just for kicks, dear listener, if you look up Lord of the Flies symbolism essay, the amount of different theses, yes? No? I don't know. Theses that you will get in different essays that you find will be staggering. You will find people picking apart this book, like, for any little teensy-weensy bit of symbolism that's in there. I know, because we did that last year in English class. And so, it's like, you're gonna get people putting their own interpretations on your art no matter what. And I can see how it might be frustrating, to think that, oh, the only reason they think that is because I'm black or whatever. I get where that can be frustrating. It's just that I think that this movie was very hostile. I'm sorry, like I said, I can't speak English. Very hostile towards the audience that was watching it, and towards anybody who wanted to actually put thought into it. And so that was kind of upsetting. It made me not feel very welcome to be watching it. Which I know that the movie wasn't saying, hey, don't watch me, but, like, it felt kind of like it was saying, don't worry, don't think too much about this, because, like, if you think too much about this, you're being a bad person, you know?
And, like, this isn't just, like, a casual movie that you put on a Friday night, be like, oh yeah, my Friday night movie. Like, no, like, this movie is kind of a thinker. Like, it inspires you to think about what's going on in front of you, and it's a bit of a downer, And not saying that all downer movies you have to think about, but like this one, I don't know. I don't imagine someone sitting down watching this movie and being like, no thoughts, head empty, let's move on with my life. Like, some part of this movie is going to stick with you and make you think, but the movie is then telling you to not do that.
Yeah, I know it's not supposed to be a feel-good movie, but there's a difference between being a feel-good movie, or being like not being a feel-good movie and being a feel-bad movie. Like, you can watch a movie that just makes you sad, and that's the point of the movie. A movie that makes you angry, and that's the point of the movie. That's good. It should do that. That was the intention. But if you are, if you're watching a movie that just makes you uncomfortable as a viewer, not because it's supposed to be disturbing or something, like, this would make you feel uncomfortable in the case that it's supposed to. It's shot in a way that's supposed to make you feel out of place, and it's giving you this insight into this couple that it's uncomfortable because it's not a happy couple, and they're saying really, really gross things to each other the entire time. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. I get that, but just not like, it doesn't feel like you're welcome to watch it, and that's the big problem here, or that's one of the big problems here. The other one is just that they just wanted a lot of they just really, really, really wanted this to be an Oscar movie, and it just kind of backfired.
No, this is either going to be a movie that somehow still gets an Oscar, and we're just gonna be like, what are you doing? Or it's not gonna get anything, which like, I mean, I don't know about other categories, but like, if I see it anywhere near like Best Picture or anything like that, we're gonna have a nice talk, Oscar people.
Yeah, I mean, the predictions that I've seen, because I've been stalking the Oscar predictions recently. It has, nowhere is this predicted to win Best Picture. It had, I think it had Malcolm's actor was predicted 17th in the running for Best Actor, and Zendaya was like 11th in the running for Best Actress. And you can't exactly get Best Supporting Characters in this one. But like, I don't know, it's just they really, really wanted to make it a showcase of the actors' talent, which it does showcase how talented they are, because they both are really talented, and they did a really good job performing it. And each of the scenes was written really well if you want to show people just how messed up it is when you're like in a relationship with a narcissist or something. So I think Malcolm was supposed to be the narcissist, at least, and like, you know, the way that he would talk was manipulative and deceiving and disgusting, and it made you mad, and that was correct. It's just that they kept doing it over and over again, and the transitions would be so like 180. Like there was this one part Marie and Malcolm had seemingly made up, and they were laughing and having fun, and then Marie just kind of stood up and walked away and was all mad again. And Malcolm was like, what the heck? And then they got really mad at each other again, and then they started running around the house and being mad, and then they later and then I think Malcolm goes and has some spasm, and Marie takes a bath, and then they fight again, and then they make up. And then they fight again. Then they make up, and then they fight again. And then I don't know, do they make up before they go to bed again?
They kind of did. And then Marie has like her whole soliloquy, however you say words. And then they like brush their teeth and stuff. And then like he says thank you, and she says you're welcome. So like, I don't know. Maybe?
Yeah.
It was exhausting to figure this out.
And see, I feel like they were trying to put years worth of messed up, manipulative fights into 3 hours of a night. And see, this movie it kept reminding me, like, the ways that it wanted to be different kind of reminded me of what happened, like how they made Ma Rainey's, which was a phenomenal movie, by the way, because Ma Rainey's is also about people struggling with their art and struggling with like the people in their lives. I guess it wasn't really romance, but and it had a relatively limited cast and a small set and a very brief time frame that it was set, and it was also like political. Like you can't. I feel bad using this word now, but you can't really escape it at this point. It was clearly talking about some things, even like whether that's domestic abuse or if it's race. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna make this movie mad at me. But yeah, so both of them were speaking out, doing a commentary on social justice issues. Both of them had a limited cast. Both of them were showcasing the talents of their actors and actresses. Both of them were, like, production design wise, really pretty and everything. It was just so much better in Ma Rainey's, and Ma Rainey's didn't feel like it was just like the only reason it existed was because it wanted to be different, you know?
Yeah, and it's frustrating because you brought up Ma Rainey's, and I started thinking about like stage to screen adaptations, and that's not really relevant for this movie, but it got me thinking about how they probably could have like reshuffled like either the context or like the structure of the story, and it would have just worked a lot better. Like they either could have really hammered in on the folks that this is one night and actually have like a lot more different transitions and have it like really progressing throughout the night instead of it just feeling like one thing is constantly blending into another, where like you really like separate things and be like, so this was like 1 a.m. and now you have 2 a.m. Like you don't have to do it like that obviously, but make things feel different and like more time is passing than like what really might be. Or you can try and have it be different nights and like each night is a different fight, you know, something, because this didn't work and could have done something else.
You know, the main problem with the plot of this movie is well, I'm gonna show it off really quick. Jenna, here's your task. Give the listeners a summary of this movie, like the plot, but don't say they fight or they make up or any other synonyms of those phrases.
Okay, so Malcolm and Marie, they're a couple, and I know where you're going with this. They're a couple. They were at the Malcolm's. He's one half of the couple. You know, Malcolm and Marie, the movie. They were at his movie premiere, and they come home. They come home to their place, and you know, he's all jazzed up because his movie happened and he thinks it was a real hit, and Marie just seems like kind of tired, and she goes to like make mac and cheese and stuff, and like Malcolm's like all over the place talking about his movie, and eventually they start talking about about his movie and people's thoughts and reviews. But then things progress more into their relationship and discussions about politics and making films, and you see the progression of their relationship and the secrets and betrayals that they've been hiding from each other and how they connect to the two of them and their relationship and whether or not they really love each other or not. But of course they don't say that because hate and love can go in two different ways, and I don't even think they know where their relationship is, and they think they love each other, they think they hate each other, and all of this is kind of a mess on the screen, and no one knows where this movie is going.
Wow, you made the movie sound a lot better than I thought it was gonna.
I realized I accidentally did that.
Because when I was trying to rack this in my brain and I was cutting out all the times that they fought or made up, it just turned out to be Malcolm and Marie come home, Marie makes mac and cheese, Marie and Malcolm talk, Marie leaves, Malcolm eats mac and cheese, they talk again, and then I think Marie smokes, and then
they make that,
and then the article comes out, and then they talk. And then Marie takes a bath, and Malcolm spazzes. And then Malcolm comes back in the house, and they talk. And then, after a while of talking, Marie gives a little acting thing with a knife. That was cool. And then they go to bed. But the main plot points are mac and cheese.
Really, it's the title card of the movie, Mac and Cheese. Malcolm and Marie over mac and cheese. Like,
Yeah, the problem
character of this movie.
I just feel like this movie could have been better. Like, they could have worked with the concept and made a full-length movie of just these two dealing with their lives if they had more catalysts. Because I don't count the mac and cheese as a catalyst. Even though I know that they're hangry for the rest of the movie because they're tired and hungry. Well, actually, no. Eventually, they both eat something, so then they're just tired. But, the LA Times thing comes out. That's a bit of a catalyst for a conversation. But really, otherwise, it's all just them not knowing when to stop. Because they fight, and then they'll make up, and then they'll go at it again. And there's not actually really a catalyst, and the plot doesn't actually go anywhere. Like, there's no reveals, there's no turning points. There's not really a climax, because it's just like a bunch of little climaxes where they're like, you suck, and then I hate you, and then but I like you a lot because you're hot and you kiss good, and then but I don't like you because you are a gross person and you have issues. But I'll make out with you now, even though you just insulted me beyond all comprehension. Oh, but actually you suck. But I kinda love you, let's go to bed now. Like,
it was whiplash.
But, okay. The main thing about this, like, a story is, like, has something changed from the beginning of the story to the end of the story? Has anything changed, like, over the whole story, really?
No.
Like, what changed? Nothing. And it's just like, if you're reading it just, I don't understand how you can pick up a plot, like, you could pick up a script and be like, yes, Oscars, when there's actually no plot there. I mean, like, say you're doing an audition for a play, and you want to use one of these monologues. That's fantastic. Great choice. These are amazing monologues to do for, like, an audition. But if you're, say, trying to make a movie, you can't just put powerful monologue after monologue after monologue and make it the same topic for each of those powerful monologues. If you want to, like, make something that's memorable, you know? And, like, I mean, I'm gonna go back to Ma Rainey's really quick. They had a couple of really powerful monologues in that one about completely different things every time. And they were spread out, so each of them was as powerful as the rest. But, like, every time that this couple fights, it's like every time you lose a little bit more sympathy because you don't care anymore.
Yeah, and I was going to say, oh, well, you know, like, the fact that things don't really change throughout the movie, that's kind of saying something about the nature of their relationship and probably something deeper, but then I remembered that this movie doesn't want to say anything at all, so I was like, nope, guess I can't give the movie that benefit of the doubt because it doesn't want me to. Or at least it made me feel like it doesn't want me to, so there you go.
I do think that this was more so for Zendaya than the other guy. What's the other guy's name? John David Washington. I feel bad because I keep forgetting his name. I think more so for Zendaya than him, this was kind of a demonstration of how actually amazing of an actress she is. Because, I mean, like, I haven't watched Euphoria. I need to. I want to. She just won an Emmy for it. Like, congrats to her. But, like, I mostly know her from Shake It Up and Spider-Man. And, I mean, Shake It Up, that's Disney Channel. You don't really act on Disney Channel. And then, with Spider-Man, the version of MJ that they had her play is just, I really don't like this version of MJ. Like I was saying during the movie, because I wasn't actually paying attention to what she was saying at that point, I was like, the way that she's talking, like she talks with, in this movie she talks with purpose, and like she actually, when this character spoke, she sounded like she was trying to actually say something intelligible and with meaning, and the only reason it just didn't feel as poignant anymore is because she did so many of them. But like the way that she spoke with purpose and with meaning and effort and everything, and like passion, I guess would be the term, that I was like, oh, I wish that the MCU MJ spoke with this kind of passion, because you know that character, I feel like she's just kind of boring too. And okay, no, wait. MJ in the MCU is okay. MJ is to the MCU as Malcolm and Marie is to Netflix. Just way too N-log.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, it's like the only character trait is not like other girls.
Exactly. That's the definition of this movie. It's not like other movies. It has to get the Oscar.
And Lom. It's like happy llama, sad llama, not like other llamas.
Wait a minute.
What?
N-log stands for not like other girls?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
How many times have I talked to you and I used the term N-log and you just didn't know what it meant? So you're just like,
no, I thought it meant something else. And to be fair, I don't hear a lot of people say N-log.
Yeah, I say it a lot, mainly when I'm talking about MJ, because MJ bothers me. I feel like there's so many other reasons that Peter Parker could, like, be in love with her, but they just... Because, okay, minor tangent, but Peter doesn't like murders. He likes Legos. And MJ likes murders. She doesn't like Legos. And her entire character is just not like other girls. When Liz, the girl that Peter liked in the first movie, was like just like other girls. You know, well, I mean, you know what I mean. I don't mean that like every girl is the same, and I don't mean that she was the stereotype, blah 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 blah. But like, it doesn't make sense why he just starts liking MJ when she's like, all that she does is like sit there and act like she doesn't care about things except for murders and like random social justice stuff, which I mean, that's like good to care about, but like it's like her only character trait is just N-log. And I don't see why Peter Parker is attracted to that. But like if MJ in the MCU spoke like Marie did, just with less of the drug addictness, like maybe made her more wholesome and more, maybe used less profanities, then I think that it would be a much better character.
Change her mind, you can't.
I mean, I don't know, Zendaya's an awesome actress and stuff. I just feel like there's not much that you can do with the character that was written for her in the MCU. But like, I love everything else about the Spider-Man movies. I like all the other ways that they changed the characters were great. Okay, I know that they were trying to do different things with them, and like they made Aunt May younger and stuff, and they changed a lot about all the characters. I just don't like how they changed MJ. Sorry. That aside, because Spider-Man is really not that related to this.
What are you talking about, Ava? They're totally related.
Yeah, okay, wait, what is this other guy in? Because the whole time I felt like I recognized him, but I just didn't know where from, and I didn't bother looking him up.
I know he's in Tenet, and I know he's been in other things. And I still haven't watched Tenet, but the library just got a DVD, so y'all know my next video is gonna be a review of that. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I did not watch Tenet, but that seems to be the only other title that I recognize in his what's it
He was in
called?
BlacKkKlansman.
I didn't see that.
Oh, well, that's what I know him from. I saw that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It just... This movie bothered me. I had such high hopes for it. I mean, I wasn't disappointed in terms of cinematography, which I feel like we barely talked about this whole time. The cinematography was beautiful.
Yeah. Like, even though I didn't like the things that the cinematography was, like, capturing, I liked the cinematography itself.
I think they used a lot of, like, oneers and stuff, and that kind of made it feel like it made me feel tired. It made me feel tired for them, and I think that was definitely a purposeful choice. It made it feel very exasperated, I guess, because they both seemed very exasperated. So the way that they were filming the different shots very much reflected how the characters were feeling. Like, you know that one scene where the first time they make up, and they start, like, you know, cuddling or whatever, and and Marie is talking to Malcolm, and, like, they have overlapping shots of them. Some of them she's talking, some of them it's just a voiceover, and they're just, like, enjoying themselves, you know. I think, and then you contrast that with, like, all those scenes where it's just, like, the oneer, you know, the one shot type thing where it's just these long, like, panoramic shots, and I feel bad commenting on the way that they filmed it too, because Mr. Malcolm here, he was mad about the girl from the LA Times commenting about how he used a quote long steady cam shot, and he's like, it's a dolly, and I feel like I'm gonna get something wrong and then I'm gonna get yelled at by Malcolm.
It's okay, Ava. Malcolm's not real. He can't hurt you. But I also liked how they did a lot of, like, the oneers too, because it would help you, like, feel, like, the distance between the two characters too. And there would be, like, shots where, like, Marie would be on a smoke break and Malcolm would be off doing something in the bushes. I don't know. And they'd both be outside of the house, but they'd be on, like, two separate parts of the house. But the shot would have both of them in it, so you could really, like, feel the emotional distance between the two characters, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, like, they spent a lot of time making the movie pretty. If I'm only saying positive... Okay, let's try, only say positive, positive review in a couple sentences. Okay, so, Malcolm and Marie is a movie that is very pretty, and has several scenes that are independently good, and is acted very well. Okay, Jenna, your turn.
It used black and white very effectively. It looked very nice. And Malcolm and Marie focused on something that wasn't always pretty, and did something with it, and highlighted the talents of two individual actors and what they can do when they're in a house with just each other and the script that they have. And it made mac and cheese look good.
I loved that house. That house... Okay, I know it's not, like, commenting on your amazing review that you just wrote. The house... Oh my god. I want that house, because it was, like, somewhere between super modern and stylish and, like, cozy. Like, it was both at the same time, because I know sometimes you don't want uber cozy house, but sometimes you want a cozy house, and it was, like, both, and it was so pretty, and I liked all the stone and stuff, and the patios and the view. It was so pretty, and I want that house.
We should do a channel field trip to that house, and then when our channel blows up and we get so big, we're making all the money, we should buy that house.
Oh my god, yeah. It's just a very, very nice house. It's a very nice house. It's probably like $90 million. I every once in a while I go on Zillow and I click on like Beverly Hills or somewhere, and I set the minimum to like $90 million, right? And I just start looking at the houses that I'll never be able to afford, and they're so pretty. It's crazy, man. I want a house like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never considered what house I would want, but that was a nice house.
Yeah. Okay. So so do you think that they released this when they did because it was like close to Valentine's Day and it was like about a relationship and they wanted people to reconsider their own relationships before Valentine's Day? And it's like, oh my god, all you people in toxic relationships, do your significant others say things like this to you? Well, then maybe you have a problem. And that's like why they released it then? Maybe?
Well, Ava, that would be making the movie political, and we can't do that.
Oh my god.
But I mean, I don't know. And it's also pretty interesting because I thought I read somewhere that like this movie was like done almost like completely during the pandemic in some sense. And that's kind of interesting because it all took place mostly like in a house with two people that are literally and like metaphorically like stuck together.
Yeah.
And like after almost like a year of doing this, I feel like there are a lot of relationships that could be kind of in this like not great position between like hating each other but also like loving each other and always fighting because there's really no escape from it, but you wake up the next morning and there's nowhere else to go and you only have the person you've been living with. I don't know. You could probably also interpret it that way. That's what I did until this movie made me feel bad for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, this whole pandemic, I've just felt really bad for anybody who has a bad home life. And I mean, if you have a bad home life and you're listening to this, I am very sorry for you. Like that I can't imagine like anything like worse than being trapped in a house with people that don't care about you, that like you don't feel safe around, especially like that is pretty terrible. And I know that there are definitely a lot of people who are in that kind of situation. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, wouldn't it be kind of a cool movie if somebody just made a movie about a couple in a pandemic that's like in an abusive relationship and the victim can't leave because it's a pandemic or something and they're stuck. And then this movie came out and now I'm kind of rethinking that as like, oh, that would be a good idea. No, it probably wouldn't be.
I mean, it could probably be a good idea if done right, which this
short
movie
film
wasn't really done right. It would be interesting to see like the cracks form in a relationship like that and how when you don't have your regular places to go and like the people you can hide behind when it's just the people in a relationship, how fast or how much it could crumble and how things could go. I mean, I can't really be one to speak on it. I've never been in any sort of relationship that's romantic or anything like that, and my home life is fine, so I don't know. I don't want to speak too much about that because I wouldn't know anything, but I think it could do people a lot of good to kind of, if depending on how you do it, to kind of like give people a chance to see it and be like, hey, this is you. There's something that might have to be done.
I just saw, I think it's my favorite headline. I know this is off topic, but I think this is my favorite headline of a review that I've seen for this movie so far. It's, by K. Austin Collins at Rolling Stone. his review is, it's not really a headline, but turn the movie off at the 20-minute mark, and you can ultimately still say you've seen the entire thing. Pretty swell. I think that's more
succinct than that.
Yeah, it's pretty much in a nutshell right there. Like, I mean, there were a lot of I remember I was watching this movie and I looked at, because my sister, like, she was, like, talking about, she was so excited to see this movie. She was like, Ava, I hear that Zendaya might get an Oscar for this movie. And then I looked it up and I was like, 58% probably not Emmy. I was like, I'm looking at the headlines right now, probably not. And see, Emmy had a lot of issues with the movie Devil of the Time. And I know I've brought it up on the podcast before, but I'm gonna again, because I liked it, Emmy didn't. But that movie got, like, a high 60s, and this movie got a high 50s, and I, like, just early on in the thing, I was like, heh, the movie you didn't like scored higher than this movie that you were really excited about, like, sucks to suck. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of the battle of the stands, because Emmy stands Zendaya, and then I stand Tom Holland, if you haven't noticed. And, so I love and support any movies that he makes, and she loves and supports any movies that she makes. I feel like the only person that she might stand a little bit more is Emma Watson.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm honestly a little surprised that we talked for as long as we did, because there really wasn't that much to talk about. It's not like there were so many different plot points that we could go through. Like, this movie is just like one big, long, overlapping fight scene with occasional makeups and makeouts and such.
Seeing as we are not allowed to speak about whether or not this movie is political, I'm really surprised that we stayed on topic as much as we did.
I know, like, the one time we're on topic.
If this is the first time that you've listened to our podcast, we go on tangents a lot. And you tuned into a good first episode. But also it's kind of a deceiving first episode, because we're not usually this eloquent. We're not usually this on topic. So that's cool. If you're not listening to this on YouTube, you could check out our YouTube channel. Jenna just made a cool movie, or cool video.
God, I wish I was that productive, Ava.
She made a cool video about the comparing To All the Boys, like the book and the movie, which is interesting because To All the Boys 3 is coming out soon, and we will be doing that on the podcast. And then this weekend, I am gonna upload a video about the end of WandaVision. I know that it's not Valentine's related, but I made a video about WandaVision the first time, after the first 2 episodes came out. I loved it. And yeah, so I'm gonna make another video about it now that I know what's going on more. Also, Film Theory recently had a video about WandaVision, and we stand Film Theory, so...
It's the only people we follow on YouTube.
Yeah, we are subscribed to one channel. Yeah, and so I'm making a video about that. If you're listening on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, duh. But also, you can listen to us on other platforms, and those will be linked in the description box below. So if you want to check us out, if you want to listen to us on Spotify or other podcast places that I can't remember off the top of my head because there's a bunch, they will be in the description. So check them out. Say hi over there. I mean, not like really, but just like if you want to turn on the podcast and say hello after Jenna goes hello, you can. It would make
if you do that, that would be great.
Yeah. So. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this whole thing. It might have been more productive just to listen to this instead of watching the actual movie, because I think that we had more of a plot going on here, to be honest.
True.
And we're shorter, so yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening. Jenna, do you have anything to add?
If you don't watch this movie, you're not really missing anything, but if you don't watch this podcast, then I think you're missing something.